Good afternoon. Welcome to Como Live. Thanks for tuning in today. Today's program is brought to us by the Legacy Amendment. My name is Ariel. I'm one of the horticulturalists here at Como Park Zoo and Conservatory. And the topic today of our Como Live is the holiday show. So I brought some of the plants with me that I can show you. These are what's on display currently in the sunken garden. This is our fifth flower show of the year, our fifth and final for 2020. And this holiday show is all about the foliage. We usually have our flower shows, but this one I feel like it would be kind of a fib to say it's about flowers. Really, what we're looking at here are poinsettias, and all the color in these comes from the bracts. These are modified leaves. There are flowers here, but they're just really insignificant in the very center of those beautiful bracts. This year's show is featuring two gorgeous cultivars. The one that's bright yellow that you're getting a close-up look at is called Golden Glow. And then to accompany Golden Glow, we have a beautiful burgundy poinsettia called Cortez Burgundy. And these poinsettias are supported by a whole cast of other foliage plants. And I can show you those up close. I also want to remind you that this Como Live is happening live, and so as you're watching this show and you start thinking of questions you want the answers to, feel free to type those into the comments and we will do our best to get to as many of those answers as we have time for. I also want to point out that my favorite memories of this holiday show are the animal ambassadors who have been guests in our holiday show. So check out our website for darling videos of armadillos visiting the holiday show, and also the penguins came for a couple of appearances here in the sunken garden. There's a lot of these Como Lives also on the website, so you can go back and scroll through the topics that are of most interest to you. So alongside these poinsettias, this gorgeous foliage plant, this is a coleus, and this one is named Olive Mosaic. We brought that one in to accompany the poinsettias. You'll see that as we go down into the sunken garden for a closer look. And this is a really warm show. We keep the temperatures during the holiday show in the 60s and 70s. So it allows us to be real creative with the material that's used. I also have a really tropical looking plant here. This is Stromanthe. And the back side of the leaf is really a beautiful color that plays off of those burgundy poinsettias nicely. So all sorts of colorful foliage in this show. And when we're designing these flower shows, I really like to think of texture and fragrance as well as the color. So along with all these colorful foliage plants, we did bring in a couple of scented plants. We have herbs in the form of a rosemary called barbecue. That cultivar gets its name because it gets really long straight stems, and so if you like to grill in the summer and want a fragrant spear to put on the grill, these straight stems of the barbecue rosemary are perfect for grilling up goodies on a hot summer night. And then in addition to that fragrant plant, this lovely one has soft leaves and they're also extremely fragrant. Fun to kind of brush against this as you pass through the garden. I think of these as my scratch and sniff plants. This is a scented geranium named Lady Plymouth. So those two go along with the poinsettias. The only real flower that we have in here that's our showstopper for actual blooms are the amaryllis. This gorgeous red one is named Royal Velvet. We have other colors coming on in the back in the greenhouse. Those other amaryllis are going to be saved for the Winter Flower Show 2021, which is coming up next. So watch for those. Now that you've gotten a chance to get a close-up look at the main set of plants that are featured in this year's holiday show, we're going to go down into the garden and do a tour of the flower show so you can get a close look at all of these things laid out together. You'll see it's real formal design, symmetrical on both sides. We brought in some of our new topiaries. There's spiral boxwood alongside the pool. And again, it is a very warm show, as we said before. So our tropical water lily, Dalbin, is still flowering away, lots of buds coming on. Temperature right now, it looks like it says 69.5 degrees. So it's a real nice place to be on a cloudy day. This room is really saturated with poinsettias. People might be wondering how many are on display here. We grew about 850 poinsettias for this show. More of the Cortez Burgundy than the Golden Glow. So I'd say about 2/3 of them are the Cortez and 1/3 are the Golden Glow poinsettias. Most of them are in the room right now. We just have a few backups, 20 or 30 backups in the greenhouse, just in case one of them gets broken. The ones by the side of the path sometimes are vulnerable to getting crushed. But there's very little foot traffic in the room this year. We've had a few rentals, a few weddings, photography events, penguins and armadillos. One of my favorite plants that's on display in the room right now are the tree ferns. These are a really large Australian tree fern. If you've been to Como before and visited our fern room, you probably walked underneath the fronds of those tree ferns. They get to be quite large. These ones we've had for a couple of years now. They're getting big enough that they're starting to develop a little trunk, and that's fun to see. They're really graceful, very Victorian to have all these ferns on display. My childhood memories of poinsettias are of a lot of red ones, so you might think this is strange to see all these colors. Oh, great, we've got a question.
Are there any herbs this year?
The question was, are there any herbs? Yes, there are. We've got 2 herbs in this show for fragrance. One of them is right here. This is a rosemary. It's a cultivar called Barbecue. And the second herb is a scented geranium. It's kind of a creamy, variegated variety. This one right here is a scented geranium called Lady Plymouth. Yeah, we're taping this live, so if anyone has any questions as we're doing our tour through the garden, feel free to type those up in the comments, and we'll try to get an answer to you during our segment, and if not, we'll answer it later this afternoon if we run out of time. Yes, we've got another question.
How long does it take to grow the poinsettias?
How long does it take to grow the poinsettias? We get poinsettias in as little teeny tiny rooted cuttings in the summer, end of June, and then we grow them all summer long right here on site. We have greenhouses attached to the conservatory, so we've been growing these for half the year. They're green all summer and fall, and then we have to give them a period of time where there's really long dark nights in order to initiate the color change in those bracts.
How many people plant the show?
The question is, how many people plant the show? We've sort of adjusted things for COVID, so our staff is divided in half, but typically the entire horticulture staff is here to help, and that's about a dozen people. And some of them will be in the back watering in the greenhouse, while others are bringing plants into the room, and then some people in the room are planting. It takes about a week to install a flower show. And during that time, along with the planting, we also do any maintenance that needs to happen, such as pruning the trees in the room. These Italian cypress are the only plants that stay in here year-round, and they do need a periodic shearing.
How far in advance do you plan the show, and who chooses what color scheme you use?
We plan the shows about a year in advance. So we're about a month out from ordering next year's poinsettias, chrysanthemums. We've got our summer show for 2021 already planned, and that gives us time to acquire the plant material. We grow things from seed, from plugs, we propagate cuttings. So we need at least a year to get all of those plants grown and ready. And some things take longer, such as our topiaries. If you're training a woody plant into a topiary shape, it might take a couple of years to get it to the desired size and form.
Do you do any special soil prep?
The soil in this room is a combination of rock wool and peat moss, and we don't do anything to the soil in this room other than periodically refresh it with new stuff as the peat moss starts to break down. The plants get fertilizer when they're being grown in the greenhouse, and they're in this room, in the case of this show, for only a short time, about 5 weeks before they're taken out, so they don't receive additional fertilizer in the show.
Where do you purchase your plants from?
Where do we purchase plants from? We get plants from many different vendors all over the states. Some of those import from around the world. So it's a case-by-case basis where the material comes from. And anything that's left over additional after the shows, our gift shop can resell those materials. We have a few poinsettias on sale in the gift shop right now. Actually, I saw a couple of the Golden Glow poinsettias on the sales shelf. Safari Garden Gifts is open for sales this week, even though the conservatory is closed.
Does the statue in the room have any sort of significance with flowers?
Does the statue in the room have any significance with the flowers? This is a statue modeled after a dancer, I believe, and she's gorgeous in the garden. I don't know of any particular plant connection with her other than she's surrounded by gardens. The name of it is Play Days, and the artist is Harriet Frischmuth.
What do you do with spent plants after the show?
The question is, what do we do with the spent plants after the show? With many of the plants, we compost what's unusable. The tops go to the compost. The root balls get ground up and put into a pasteurizer where we can reuse the soil. And then anything that's still desirable after the show, if we're not going to reuse it in a future flower show, it goes to the gift shop to be sold, and the proceeds can be then used for future flower show purchases. In between some of those amaryllis, I don't know if you all can see, there's some lemon trees. I forgot to mention that that's the third fragrance in here, along with the 2 scented herbs that we have. We also have these lemon trees. One of my favorite fragrances are the fragrances that come from citrus flowers. These are lemon blossoms, and after they're flowered, the little fruits start to develop. Got a couple of teeny weeny green lemons starting to grow, but I just associate with citrus around the holidays. It's such a great time of year to find citrus in our grocery store. Kumquats, oranges, clementines, all of those wonderful treats that we look forward to during the winter. Well, thank you all for taking a tour of the Sunken Garden Flower Show with me today. I hope you tune in again for another Como Live. Enjoy your afternoon.